Welcome to Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas, the go-to podcast for aspiring and seasoned leaders in the quick service restaurant industry. Each week, we serve up actionable insights and proven strategies to help you lead smarter, build stronger teams, and elevate operations. Whether you're taking your first steps into leadership or refining your expertise, we're here to fuel your growth and spark big ideas. Let's dig in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas. I'm one of your hosts, Riley Shine, and with me is Eric Jaworski.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Yes.
We're back in the studio. Another great episode.
I don't know why I was thinking about it, but Warren, he used to work for us a while back.
I remember Warren.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend, a man amongst men. And, he always he always just made me feel like really good about it, even though I didn't know anything back then, or if I had known, right? Yeah. So thank you for the introduction. We're going to talk about our different structure today and some of the positions we've got, because I think sometimes there's a lot of confusion behind is this my job? Is this not my job? Am I supposed to do this? Who's really responsible for this?
Yeah. Well, and I think with our current goal of reducing turnover, it's important that everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are because of all the changes that we've been making.
Yeah. Yep. And from a leadership standpoint, especially when you start running shifts, when you become that shift manager, or assistant manager, and you kind of see things that maybe your GM doesn't see or what other people don't see, and you don't know whether to stay in your lane or maybe make changes so how do we define some of those things? And I think we'll have some decent conversation around that today.
Absolutely. And what's cool about this, though, is once we set those expectations, once we clearly outline all this stuff, then it's a whole lot easier for those conversations to happen and for the team to all start pulling in that direction of lowering turnover, because now everybody has the right information, has the right training, and knows what they're supposed to do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all the same team and we're all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah. It reminds me of, having defined bosses and defined goals and defined tasks of what we should do. It was reminding me of the movie The Office. And I don't know if I've referenced this. I've told you. Have you watched it yet?
Clips. Just clips. I know my mom always tells me to watch it.
But it was the best because they would be like, well, I'm doing just enough basically to get by. And if he makes a mistake, he has 8 different bosses that come to him. So, when we look at a structure, we have to try to eliminate people having too many bosses because the direction can get really hard, right? And I'm sure you've been pulled in a million different directions. I mean, your role is literally one of those things where you kind of, not that you have a million bosses, but you have a lot of people that want stuff from you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's funny that you say that, because my role is kind of that, different, be pulled in a billion of directions. And I like that, though. Yeah. It's fun. I get to do a lot of things, and I get to help the organization where it needs help. Yeah. But for, say, our entry level, they're responsible for making our guests happy.
Well, literally the restaurant industry itself is what you just said was your role, right? You're here to help the organization, the restaurants. You're here to help the guests. You're here to help a little bit of everybody. And that can sometimes be maybe the challenging part of all of this, is because everything that we do in the restaurant, everybody can do at the restaurant. But I think there's something to be said for, don't do what others can do, but that doesn't mean you don't ever do it. So, entry level, our crew positions are really super vital. I don't know how much more to say this. Sometimes people overlook the importance of having a solid crew team. And you can see that from restaurant to restaurant, right? It's cleaner, it runs more efficiently, the customers are happier, the crew are happier, right? The turnover is much lower. People pitch in, people know all the different stations. I mean, you've been there before. If the person only knows how to make muffins, right? It can be very frustrating for the rest of the team. So as far as the crew goes, it's super vital to our operations. You got your kitchen team, your front counter team,
service, hospitality. Those people who are creating those really awesome experiences for our guests.
Right.
And what's the stat? This one I know I'm going to get right. Yeah. 1 in 8 Americans have worked for McDonald's, most likely as a crew member.
Yeah.
1 in 8.
That's. Let me just Google that. No, it's fascinating that meant. I don't know if that's good or bad. right? Like it's great that we've had so many
Yeah.
people work for McDonald's because it is honestly, I mean, it's my first job and I absolutely loved it. It's your first
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had other side things,
Sure.
in the past.
Side hustling at
side
14.
hustling. Yeah, I was a babysitter, video editor, DJ. Like, it's all over the place.
See, this is why you're the jack of all trades. But yeah, it's honestly, it's a really good first job. But I think we as an organization have to get back to ensuring that our team is trained properly, though, to do their job. And I know one of our things to really help us with our retention and our turnover numbers is to build a better crew trainer program and plan. So I know that's being worked on right now. And I don't know if I've ever seen in my 20 some odd years of doing this where I've ever seen a really good, solid crew trainer program, at least not across an organization.
Or that's consistently executed.
Yeah.
Crew, you said it perfectly. They're vital. They're that piece of the restaurant where you kind of get a lot of that experience of the fast food world and of that. And it's important that they're trained. And so that leads us to our crew trainers. Yeah. Right? What's their job?
Well, so just to show the importance of our crew, if I can backtrack for a second. I was in the restaurant. I was in on Friday, the same restaurant I went to on Saturday. And on Friday, there was a lady who was doing the dishes, right? And you may not think twice about the people doing, say, the dishes or the sweeping or the mopping or cleaning the bathrooms. But it was funny because then I went back there on Saturday and she was off. And guess what was happening with the dishes? Nobody was doing the dishes, right? So all of a sudden now it kind of became this thing of like,
who's doing the dishes?
Who's doing the dishes? And you don't think twice about it when sometimes you have these people in these positions doing the routine stuff of what the expectation of a restaurant are. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say you'd miss them if they were gone, right? Like you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Like, can I sing that?
Sure.
I wish I was a better singer.
Miss me when I'm gone.
You can edit. Can you harmonize that?
Auto-tune it?
Well, yeah, we'll just add an auto-tune clip or whatever you do with Tech Magic.
Tech Magic.
But sometimes you don't. You underestimate, I think, the importance of every position and our team while they're there, right? Yeah. So just as you're going through the restaurants, as you're in your restaurant, make sure to pay attention to the people who are doing the things that probably just don't get noticed. And that's our crew. Our crew do a lot of things that we just don't see on an everyday basis.
Yep, scrubbing the bathroom floors, cleaning up the spilled, spoiled milk or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So crew trainers, crew trainers are, and this is the hard part, Riley, because I just think everything is so important. Every position, every title, every task, right? But our crew trainers are the crew who really understand what it takes to satisfy the guest and help reduce the turnover by making people's lives easier. Like I do think that from a crew trainer standpoint, when we can teach procedures and we can execute on those procedures, it just makes, like I said, our lives easier. Because without that, it gets chaotic, right? Like the restaurants can get chaotic.
Well, and I think too for the crew trainers, they're upholding that high training standard. So if there wasn't, say a crew member came in and maybe wasn't exactly shown how to properly do the dishes.
Yeah.
Now they're there in a kind of mini leadership role where they're able to step in and be like, hey, this is great. Thanks for doing the dishes because nobody else wants to do them. But thanks for doing these. But hey, make sure you rinse them in this thing first before you put them in this. And they're there to coach and maintain that high level of standards.
Yeah. And within our organization, that's why I love what I do. And I honestly, with the military too, because there's a procedure for everything, right? There's an SOP for everything, standard operating procedure. But literally the way you mop the floor, right? There's a certain way to do that.
Is it figure eight?
It is the figure eight.
Yes.
Nice job. And, you're only supposed to do, right, like a small, 4x4 area at a time. And you're not supposed to sweep and mop by the customers, right? Like there's a lot more to sweeping and mopping than just
sweeping and mopping.
And it was funny because I remember, when I first became a crew trainer or manager or whatever it was, I can't remember, but there was a person that was sweeping, but they were using like one hand, right? And they were basically just kind of lollygagging and kind of just
killing time.
Yeah, I'm like, you're supposed to sweep like this. And that's where me as that crew trainer came in and talked about the procedures and talked about the how and using two hands, right, with a broom. but it's so important for our team to know these. And if you consider this an entry level or a restaurant entry level position, I get that. But there's so many skill sets to still be learned while you're with us, right? Where all of a sudden you can learn, right, how to do these things. You can learn how to maybe clean a little bit better. You can maybe learn how to use teamwork a little bit better. And our crew trainers are tasked with really, like you said, the beginning of leadership, which I think is completely underestimated here in this
Absolutely.
level. So
It's a stepping stone to shift leadership and restaurant leadership and beyond, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a crew trainer and the material that we had then and now, world's different and way more interactive and intuitive and easily accessible, where before it was like paper booklets and and all this stuff. So now it's fun to be able to pull out that guide or pull out that training material and easily boom. Oh shoot, I forgot how to make eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Like it's 12 instead of 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
This is the level too where, because literally every person I talk to, right, who helps lead companies or patches the restaurants or restaurants, that they always talk about believing and wanting to build their people, right? Like everyone always says this, right? Like it's just people. Like why do you do this? I love people. I love people. This is where we start to actually show our people that we care. Right? Like the crew trainer level is, in my opinion, the part to where we can show the crew that we care about them and their future, right?
And their development,
we care about their growth, their contributions, and we care about them getting it right and doing it right. And when you have a solid crew trainer program that teaches the skill sets for them to really do their job, people have a natural thirst for knowledge. And I think we underestimate that. Like people want to learn. People want to do better. And if they don't, it's because we haven't invested the right time in them or put the right energy into them to figure out what they want or how maybe they learn, right? So the crew trainer program, I could go on and on about that role and that responsibility, but it's completely a level one leadership. Hey, you're getting the title. Now what are you going to do with it? And it's an opportunity. Like some people just want to be crew trainers, right? And they don't want to do much more, and that's completely fine. But this is that opportunity to really watch somebody grow.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for our organization and the program that we're working to produce is because I just already know it's going to be great. And it's going to, I mean, you know, we'll fail a couple of times, but it'll be great.
Yeah.
And then those crew trainers will be, you know, even better for it. So very cool. Who's working with the crew trainers?
So hopefully everybody, right? So, you know, kind of that next step up as we kind of go through the roadmap, right? The natural evolution of this will be from crew trainer to like that shift manager. You know, now all of a sudden you're going to be in charge of a shift or a day part. You're typically working maybe consistently the same, you know, if it's morning, nights, overnights, whatever that shift may be.
Based on availability.
Yeah, but now you're starting to get into the results part of this with the leadership. And that's where I think the crew trainer program is really important, especially for those that are learning leadership, how to talk to people, how to treat people, how to get the best out of people. Because now all of a sudden you're more results focused when it comes to that shift manager standpoint, because you are responsible for running great shifts and serving the customers. And you're responsible for
motivating the
10, 20 people, depending on the shifts. And that motivation is key to get results, because you have to be now that level 2, level 3 bordering, right? Type thing to really consistently get results. And, you know, we hopefully you've listened to some of the levels. I know we've had the conversations around what that is. But the shift manager is going to be responsible for a lot. It can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. And you said the consistent schedule, or you might cover the same day parts, right? Yeah. And if you do have that is a great opportunity to really hone in on those leadership skills that you maybe picked up on a crew trainer and really start to get to know your team. And then now all of a sudden everybody knows the expectation, everybody has the knowledge of what they're doing, and everybody is, again, running a great shift to where the shift manager is just kind of that, what's the word I'm thinking of?
The orchestra?
The
conductor.
Conductor.
Is that,
yes,
All right, we got that.
Almost like the conductor of the shift, because they're not necessarily, they put food in a bag when they were a crew and a crew trainer. They've done these things. So now they get to not sit back. They get to observe and coach and really make impactful changes to just make the shift even better and even better and even better.
Yeah. And I would argue that shift manager is going to have probably most likely some internal struggles, right? It's very easy to blame other shifts, right? Well, they didn't do this for me. They didn't set me up. They didn't, whatever that might be. But I would encourage our shift managers to really just own that shift, right? Regardless of whether you bounce between shifts or not, own the shift that you have. Because if you can make an impact on your shift and you can consistently do that, that's going to have an impact on other shifts. And people are going to start to see that success from you, and they're going to look to mimic some of those things. So don't worry. Like, this is the one where I would say don't worry about what others are doing, especially the ones who aren't successful. Don't worry about those shift managers, right? Don't worry about the shift managers who will come and tell you, well, I've been doing this forever and you're never, like, don't listen to that negativity. Don't worry about
no negativity.
Yeah. Don't worry about the, who did what or who didn't do what. Really just do it to the best of your ability. Run the best shift that you can. Run the best results that you can. You may not even control the amount of people that you have on your shift. So do the best with what you got, right? I don't know. I'm sure you've got some other hints, tips, and tricks, but like, this is the one. This is where you can own that shift
and say, look at me, look at this.
Yes.
Like, look at my results, look at my shift, look at how awesome we were, look at my, customer satisfaction scores, look at my speed.
Yep.
Cause that's yours.
Yep.
That is yours.
Know what your boss wants from you too. Right. And I know we've had this conversation a little bit, but from a shift manager standpoint, in our opinion as the organization, right, do the best you can on that shift and work with your bosses, your leadership to really know what they're looking for from you. And I think a shift manager can be really successful by understanding the targets and the measurements while looking to remain profitable during those times. So,
absolutely.
Which leads us into hopefully the assistant manager, right?
Yeah, you've been, kicking butt and taking names and running shifts, and now all of a sudden, you're handed keys to half the business.
Yeah. Multi-million-dollar businesses.
Yeah.
And this is now where you're going to become a part of a smaller leadership standpoint, right? Because you probably have a couple assistants, you have the general manager, you may have a boss here or there, or like whatever they're looking at. But like all of a sudden now it's I would take it as you have the entire business, not just half.
It's true.
And I get it, because we think about it that way. Well, I'm in charge of food cost and kitchen. I'm in charge of, hospitality. Like, as an assistant manager, you're in charge of a business.
Yeah.
Now, that might not be your key area, right? Like, you may not, but...
It is your business.
But we affect the business.
It is 100% your business in that area.
Yeah. Yep. I think the miss that we sometimes have from our assistants is we get so focused on the profit part of this that we don't focus on, say, shift management. Yeah, the people, right? Like what got you out of bed this morning? What's that passion? Everyone says people, but like, how come as an organization we don't invest our time into teaching, training, and empowering our shift managers and crew trainers? Like, it's an issue for our organization.
Yeah.
Like, our assistants have to be better at developing the people around them.
Absolutely. Because the assistants are the ones who are working with the shift managers and the crew trainers to get those results.
Yep.
So if you don't have those people skills or that leadership behind you, it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah. Yep. And as an assistant, you have the title. So it is. Like, literally, now you have the title, and it's a now what thing. So just because others aren't doesn't mean you can't.
And just in our organization, too, for the assistants that are listening, you can always go back in our learning management system and watch some of those videos on how to communicate with your crew and how to coach effectively. Those are literally modules that you can go back and revisit if you maybe struggle with connecting and talking to your team. If you have shift managers who maybe aren't doing what you're asking of them, find out why.
Right.
And maybe there's some answers for you in that. I don't know.
No, you do know, because there are answers, and that's a really good point. Like, we still have to stay curious as assistants, right? Like, you have to continue learning. You bridge out, go find other assistants, find other like-minded people that are really doing some of those things. Find these successful ones, because we do have a lot of amazing, successful assistants within our organization. Like, we really do, and I'm sure, depending on where you're listening to, I'm sure you do too. But you are, like, this is where you, in my opinion, as an assistant, you have to stop making excuses. Like, we tend to do that, especially in that shift manager role, right? Like, we look to
the closers did this. The weather was bad. I had 2 call offs.
Yeah, we find those. Hey, I get it. You had a couple call-offs, but tomorrow I'm going to do this differently to ensure that we're ready.
Or
Right?
you had 8 people that did show up.
I'd completely rather hear that than the fact that we had 2 people not show up. Cool. You ran really bad times today. What are you going to do differently? The assistant has to own the changes. They have to own the results, because ultimately the shift manager is your manager. The crew trainer is your crew trainer. The crew person is your crew person, right? Like, if they're not performing, then you are ultimately the leader who has to own those results. Like, whether you like it or not, as an assistant manager, you have to own the results. And that's where I truly do feel that it is you, the assistants and that GM, owning the business. Yes, once again, you may only own a section of, say, the profit or whatever, like, ultimately, but that's like looking at me and saying, I'm not responsible for the crew. Like, I am 100% responsible for the crew and the crew trainers and the managers and the people we put in place. Like, I can't make excuses.
Yeah, and so the shift leaders are responsible for their shift and making sure that their shift goes well and runs a great shift. And the assistants and general managers are owning the results of all of the shifts.
Yep. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So then, as you look kind of into that next role with the general manager, that really is the icing on the cake, that cherry on top of, like, okay, now you get to really pick your people. Like, it is your team. And I think regardless of, if you're in a restaurant for more than 3 months, it's your team.
Yeah.
Right? 100% it's your team. That's your influence. It's your circle of influence, and you get to literally do what you want within our organization, how you want to do it. And the people is usually the change here, right? Like, we do burgers and fries all the same way across every restaurant that we have. It's the people that make the difference.
Yeah.
It's the GM that makes the difference. And the GM is really responsible for that restaurant in its entirety.
People, results, culture, hospitality, all of it.
Yeah.
And I would say to that end, though, they're the ones responsible for making sure the assistants have the tools and knowledge that they need to do their job.
Yeah, and I like that. It is the tools and the resources, and you can go any direction with that. But we have to be able to provide people the tools necessary for them to do their job, much past just making sure that they have the small wares, right? Or the shift sheet done, or whatever else it is. Like, this is a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility.
It is, and it's not all just operations.
Yeah,
it's people. We're here because of people. We're making burgers for people. It's people. So making sure that they have those skills and that knowledge to do that. Because if our crew and crew trainers don't know what they're supposed to be doing, their expectations, how are the managers and assistants supposed to run the business?
Yep.
So I think it's great that we are trying to make this clear and, set the expectations and the roles and responsibilities for our team. And I mean, all of these people, including yourself and myself, are vital and important to our success. And it's just awesome.
Thanks for saying we're important too.
We are.
That means a lot. But read more about the roles and responsibilities. Read your handbooks. Right?
Yeah, our handbooks are available.
Read that stuff. Ultimately, right? Like, I know we didn't cover specifically every little detail here, but we're all in this together, and we all need to support each other, and we all can learn and develop each other. You don't always have to wait for the title to really show people, right, what to do or how to do it, or to have some of these conversations.
Absolutely.
So I think we're in a really good spot as far as roles and responsibilities, but don't always just stay in that box.
Find those tools, find those resources. They're out there. Depending on your organization, they maybe won't post them as freely, as maybe we do. But ask questions, be curious about people, about the business, and we're glad you're here.
Right. Listen.
Learn. And lead.
All right. Thanks.
See you later, guys.
Thanks for joining us on Buns, Burgers, and Big Ideas. We hope today's episode inspired fresh ideas for your leadership journey. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and keep learning with us as we continue to explore leadership in the QSR world. Until next time, take care and lead well.